So this is the ToolBar 0.7 alpha, and we've gotten quite a bit done. We don't have everything that we would like to have done, of course, but it has come a pretty long way. So the last one that I uploaded was on the 12th, and this is what, 10 days later? From the last one, 0.6, we had some issues with the way that it would auto add the links to the chart. So remember, in NT8, we're controlling the chart via an indicator, and the toolbar will actually add that indicator to the chart, and that acts as the link between the toolbar, the floating toolbar, and the chart. In NT7, we just have the one indicator on one chart that controls all workspaces and all charts. NT8 is just totally different drawing, and this is about the only way that we could make it work, unless Ninja actually added some things to their code or opened up some of it that we could access. But anyway, this is how we have to do it, and there were some issues with the way these indicators were getting added. Sometimes it would display the name of the indicator, sometimes it wouldn't. I'll go through what each of these means in a moment. And then we didn't have the backup and restore. Backup and restore is, if I click on backup, you see it's creating a backup of the toolbar layout and all the objects that I have drawn on the chart, on all the charts. Okay, and then I can restore that backup, and you can make a backup and send it to me or someone else, and they could restore your backup. And you just select the one that you want, click open, and then it will load that layout and load in all the objects, and then you have the option to either load the objects or not load the objects. So you could just, import the layout and then drop all the objects. All right, so other than that, in 0.6, we had a number of other things, but let me just jump into the changes we have since then. There are just so many internal things that have been fixed. The market geometry, the way that it draws, the way the pop-up messages would open up. Now they'll open up right underneath the mouse cursor. We added the execution plot toggle, which is this button here, which will show the trades with the markers, with the text, or just with the markers, or nothing at all. It toggles between all the states. So you click that, click the chart, it'll show the trades, click the chart again, and it won't show the trades. Right click to end. Let's see what else we have here. So licensing is now for all of the indicators, and I'll have an update for NT8 Volume Analyst with everything finally here by the end of the weekend. All of the NinjaTrader 8 tools from now on, from now on, I mean, we only have, a select few, but all of them are using the licensing from NinjaTrader 7. So to license the toolbar, and we've modified that a bit as well, you right click between the buttons. So anywhere between the buttons, or anywhere in the white space basically. That will open up this user interface here, Toolbar Pro Settings. You click on About, and there's the license key. So before, a lot of people had trouble with this. I've had trouble with it. You would paste the key in there, and then it would disappear, and you didn't know if it actually took it or not. Now you paste it in there and click OK, and then the pop-up message will appear. If you've already licensed the NT7 version, you won't have to license the NT8 version, and vice versa. If you've licensed NT8 first, then if you opened up Ninja 7, it would just open right up. You wouldn't have to license anything. So they'll all share the same key, and it doesn't affect the number of machines or the number of activations you have. one activation for NT7 on one computer will activate NinjaTrader 64-bit, 32-bit for NT7, and NinjaTrader 8, 64-bit, and 32-bit, and it only counts as one activation. So your second activation won't be used until it's actually on another PC, a different PC with a different IP address, I guess. I think that's what it's tied to. It's tied to the something in the computer and the IP address. Beyond that, for the user interface, we have the auto peak system. Auto peak is what snaps to the swing highs and lows. That had some issues. We fixed that. I think this has been in here for a little while. I'll show you that when we actually add it to the chart and I start drawing. So backup restore, now links. This is how you actually add it to all of the other charts. So you see I've got, let's put 3 charts here. So to get it on your initial chart, you actually have to load it via right click or one of these, whichever one of these is the indicators. I always just right click, select indicators, and then double click on TradeThePlan, and it's right there at the top of the list. TTP toolbar, we'll rename it once it's out of alpha. So it's not exactly quote unquote pro yet because we don't have the whole thing built. So we'll change it to Toolbar Pro once we get everything in there. So there is Toolbar 0.7 alpha. This right here, the Z order, that controls whether you're plotting the lines behind the price bars or on top of them. And you can set that on a chart by chart basis. If it's unchanged, it'll plot all of the objects on top of the bars. Okay, if you set it to 4, that's the same thing, it's on top of the bars. If you set it to back, it'll draw the lines behind the bars. And I actually would prefer to draw behind the bars. I think it's less cluttered, less messy. A lot of people have been asking for that over the years. In NT7 it wasn't possible because we use the chart as kind of a canvas. NT8 we have full control over everything because we're accessing the chart via an indicator and then via an add-on with this toolbar. So we have access to basically anything you can think of. Alright, so okay, to apply it, there it is, Toolbar Pro 0.7. You could eliminate that label if you wanted to. I know a lot of people like really clean charts. Of course, you wouldn't be able to tell, if it's on there or not without opening up the indicator dialog window, but you could just simply remove that. Okay. Up to you. I want to say if I just type anything, it'll put the label in there. Yeah. Any character that you type in there, it'll display the full label and the version number. Alright, so now it's on the chart. It's on that one chart. How do you start drawing on all of the other charts? Well, right click between the buttons again to open up the settings. And this little button right here, this menu item links. Auto add links will auto add the toolbar indicator to all of the new charts that you open up. Okay, it won't add it to the existing charts, but you can check that, and then any new chart that you open up, it will open up with that toolbar on it. Okay, but before you do that, if you want to add it to the existing charts on this workspace, or say every single chart on every single workspace you have open, I could add the links. We're calling this the toolbar link. That was the previous name of it. I think we'll change this labeling, naming in the future. Let's just add it to the current workspace. And there it's added to all of the existing charts now. And then I can set it to auto add to all new charts that I open up. And then done. And now I can start drawing. So before I start drawing, let's go over some more of the changelog here. And I haven't edited it. I just edited it. I simply just copied and pasted from our project management software here. I'll straighten this up shortly. But this is 0.7. So toolbar links can be removed from a workspace. So you can uncheck that. And now I can remove. Let me show you that. Now I can remove all of those. See that? It's pretty cool, isn't it? Add and remove indicators without even refreshing the chart from an external window. That's Ninja's add-on feature. So they've done some pretty cool stuff with this whole add-on system they've developed. So we can actually control all the charts. We can control everything from an outside window. So we could potentially create, our own market analyzer, some sort of a statistics gathering sort of a thing. I know a lot of guys have wanted to tie into Excel. We could build out spreadsheets and tables and stuff like that and gather data into that or send data from that to the charts. So there's a lot of stuff we can do now with this add-on system. It's really pretty amazing. Okay, so we have added the ruler. And one thing I wanted to get into the ruler, I know Samir's asked about this, a number of you guys have asked about this. Because of the divergence analyst using average range per bar so much, and sometimes, you're kind of trying to troubleshoot, well, why didn't I get a major swing there? Looks like it's pretty close. Now you can display what the average range value is within a certain distance. Now that I'm talking about it, we left one little part out, didn't we? We sure did. Okay, let me just show it to you. Oh, I gotta add back the links to the current workspace. We also figured out how to draw between the bars, which was essentially impossible in NT7. The way that the toolbar was built, using the chart as a canvas, we were kind of tied to the bar index and couldn't really draw between the bars like you can with Ninja's drawing objects. You can kind of fine-tune, very precisely, even micropixels. We've figured out how to do that, and we're actually going to add in the ability to like draw freehand on the chart. So that will enable you to use this none. Currently, none is essentially like snapping to bars. Okay, and that's the way it has been in NT7 since inception, but in the next version we'll be able to do that, and you'll see it will enable us to do quite a bit more stuff. Alright, so I'm snapping to the open, high, low, close, and it's set to a moving 50 period average range, and that'll be one of the values you'll see here, and that is teeny tiny. Oh, and you can select an object and drag it off the chart to delete, just like you can in NT7. You see that? You just grab it and drag it off the chart. It's still a little bit small. So you've got total ticks, distance from high to low. You've got the percentage move, number of bars 57. This is ticks per bar, and this is average range per bar. Okay, the one thing that we left out would be the distance in percentage of average range. And then you've got the total time, volume, average volume, which is essentially volume per bar, and then the total value per contract. Okay, so that's the ruler. That's in there now. That's kind of a big accomplishment. That thing is pretty difficult. Just to briefly tell you kind of what's in store, we're going to be grouping, we're going to have the ability to group buttons together. Okay, and with that will come a series of sort of tooltip type menus that if I hover over a button, it would drop down the list of available variations of that button or whatever other buttons you've grouped together. So you'll be able to group, you know, not just variations of the same button, but you would be able to group, say, alerts with the market geometry button, or, you know, group any buttons together. And then another option that we're going to have once we add the workspaces button in, we haven't added the workspaces button in yet, but when we do, we're going to have the ability to save layouts. So rather than having multiple workspace buttons, you'll be able to group every single chart that you want open in one workspace, and then you'll actually be able to arrange the windows how you want them for, say, layout number 1. Maybe it's all 5-minute charts with 5 different markets. You just want to see those 5-minute charts. You lay it out, you'll be able to open up the workspace button. There'll be a little user interface inside of there for saving the layout, and then you can assign a hotkey to it, and you can do that as many times as you want within a single workspace. So we're going to have that, which is going to be really, really nice. You'll be able to just simply hit a hotkey and rearrange all the windows, only have one workspace. You'll be able to see all your instances of Blackbird at the same time. We'll even have a timer to be able to automatically switch from one layout to the next after a certain period of time, time of day, day of week, and even upon alerts. But that's in the future. That's coming. So you'll be able to have a pretty slimmed down toolbar, still be able to have hotkeys for each individual variation, each individual button, and then have your hotkeys for your different layouts. So you'll be able to have a tiny little toolbar. And what's more, you'll be able to dock it anywhere on the chart. You'll be able to dock it in the top left corner, top right, up at the top middle, anywhere on the chart. And then you'll be able to hit a hotkey, and once you hit that certain hotkey, wherever your cursor is, it'll snap the center of the toolbar directly under your cursor. So if you've got a lot of screens, that'll definitely come in handy. I don't know how often or how much time per day I spend, you know, going and grabbing that toolbar and dragging it over to the chart that I'm on. So we're going to add a lot of these little efficiency type features to make it even more efficient. So we added this crosshair button. Right now it's just Ninja's crosshair, so you can click it, click the chart, and it'll activate Ninja's crosshair. Not the global, not yet. It's just a simple click it, click the chart, click it, click the chart again, and it's off and on toggle. We're in the process of trying to get the crosshairs to display as you're drawing the object, and then when you select it, but it's it's a lot deeper system than we anticipated, which is kind of how it goes. But it's coming. And then the draggable shapes, such as here for demand, and you see I've got the constant drawing mode on, so it's stain and draw mode, which is pretty cool. And then I can deselect that, and now it's gone. So this is the small shapes button, which you have ellipsis, rectangle, triangle. all of those, and you can set the size of them here, and I've added just simply up arrow, down arrow. You've got an ellipse to highlight whatever, little dot. One thing that we still have trouble with is drawing into the future, and that should be sorted out Monday or Tuesday, so it'll be in the next update. And the main issue with that is when you're drawing, say, market geometry. Let me see if I have a... This isn't the best situation to display what I'm trying to display here, but if your second click, the end bar, so if I click here, this is my first click, my second click, which stops the drawing, this one, if it's really close to the current bar, the last bar on the chart, then not the scale, but the slope of the lines can get a little skewed. You wouldn't notice it like this, but let's say if I draw maybe from here and then zoom in and out. Yeah, you can see it. See it fumbling around there a little bit? The blue line. So that's a known bug there. Not really a bug, it's because we can't draw into the future to the right of the current bar yet. But he's figured out the problem. He's just got to write a system for it to handle it. So that's really the main bug that we have as far as the drawing and the market geometry. Other than that, we've got most of it cleared out. We don't have all of the features of the market geometry in here yet. We don't have the throw-over regions. We don't have, what else? There are a couple of other things we don't have in here yet. Mainly the throw-over and, I can't think of it. Oh, the shift. We don't have the shift median lines in here. I guess that's about it. The throwovers, and there's a couple of other little subsystems that have yet to be added, like the custom lines, but that'll all be in the next update. The hide system. So this is a pretty big system to finally have done here. So that is this button here. This is hide all, and we're adding just a simple little text here to display what it is. I think in the next version, maybe not the next, but the final version, we'll actually have like a little, maybe a little bit bigger than that, but we'll copy the, whatever image or text or whatever you have for the actual display button. So you'll be able, you'll be able to tell essentially which variation of the button that you have there. And this is the hide warning lines, all of these warning lines here. So if you just want to hide those, that's this button. Let's see, we've got the risk to reward meter 100%. It's all sorted out. It's working pretty nicely now. And you have to control that from this little dotted line here. I mean, you can grab, the individual lines and move them around. But to actually move the whole thing, you have to use, this is like the baseline. So for the complex objects are any object that has multiple different anchor points and objects, different lines. So the market geometry is a complex object. The risk to reward meter is a complex object. Each of the complex objects have a baseline. The fibs are a complex object. And to control the entire object, you have to control the entire object from the baseline. And if you delete the baseline, you delete the whole thing. All right. but you can also just delete individual lines for any complex object. And I think you guys know that, especially for the market geometry. And another really useful feature we added is the delete mode. And I've already got a couple of hotkeys set up. That hotkey system is working pretty nicely now as well. So every button has its own hotkey. And I've added this hotkey for the delete mode button. And with the delete mode button, that's this scissors button here, you can elect to keep baselines so that you don't accidentally delete the entire complex object. So with that checked, and I enable it, so I just hit the hotkey, you see, delete mode. I click that baseline and nothing happens. But then I can delete any of the other individual, whatever you want to call them, child objects. So this would be, the baseline would be the parent, and these would all be child objects, children. I can delete all those. And then if I want to be able to delete the entire complex object, I would uncheck that, and then I can delete it. There we go. I think I had the hotkey still activated before I made that change there. Okay. This button, this is pretty handy for me. I don't know if I've thoroughly explained this to you guys since I added it in the NT7 toolbar layout. Okay, this is a delete all hidden objects. So let's say that it's kind of especially useful for higher time frames where you're not really, updating it too often, and maybe you just want to hide everything and start fresh but not have to delete everything. So let's say I get a bunch of objects on here. I'm just going to randomly draw, it doesn't really matter. For an example, whatever, you get the idea. So now I'll hide everything. Here I've got my fib, risk to reward meter, a ruler, and the market geometry. So let's say I just want to keep the market geometry, so I'll click on that, bring the market geometry back, but I want to delete everything else. So this is a delete all button, and the delete all button can be modified to delete everything from the chart, everything from every chart on the workspace. Sorry, all workspaces that are open, or just this current workspace, or even only the active visible charts. Okay? And then you can, from there, you can take it a step further. You could delete only objects of a certain color, or every object except a certain color, or only hidden objects, or only visible objects, or hidden and visible. And then you can go and select which objects you actually want to delete. So I'm deleting everything that is only hidden from just this chart. Okay, and what else does it do? It does a backup and creates a backup file in case you accidentally delete, everything from a chart you've been working on for half an hour and you want to get it back. This will automatically create a backup, and then there you saw it also displays a pop-up message, and you can uncheck that. You can set it to do not show if you want. I leave it set to show for you guys so that you're at least warned before it deletes everything. And then it deleted it, you see? And now it's got that backup, which I can then open up the user interface, go to utilities, restore. See, before delete, It gives you the date and the time. And then I can open that. Do I want to restore the objects? Yes, I do. And there it is. Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool stuff. All right. Let's see. You guys still hear me? Okay, cool. Just checking on you. Hide the warning lines, hide all objects, enable, disable, auto backup before delete all. Delete all color conditions now work properly. The pop-up windows open without flashing. There was some strange stuff with the graphics and the display of the pop-up windows. That's all fixed. The horizontal rays, which are these two buttons here. Of course, you could add as many as you want. Those are all working properly now. Let's see. The way that I have all of the added text displaying, you see how you don't see any of the prices or the distances from the current bar. So all these are obviously the prices, and then these are the number of ticks away from the current price. So that's at 28.50, that line, and it's 145 ticks away. All right, so the way that I have these displayed is obviously on the right margin, and then the vertical location is exactly even with the price. You see how that's 28.50 here, and that's 28.50.25. When you have a couple right on top of each other, I think it tries to offset like a tick or two, but not more. So all of those settings for the attached text are here within each button that has attached text. You'll see this as a heading here. Attached text for the baseline, that's the blue line. This is the vertical position, exact with price. That's the actual location of the text vertically. And then the horizontal position, you could display it right at the edge of the current bar, which is actually the last bar, technically. I always call it the current bar, but yeah, it's the last bar on the chart. And a lot of different options here. You can go through them and just kind of see how it works. But this one here, which is the way I have all of them by default, right margin auto hide. And that means that if you see this little arrow up here, if I drag to the right, you see the little arrow? That means that you're not viewing the last bar on the chart. And I can also drag it to the left, and now you're the actual margin is, somewhere over here. So when you snap it back to the margin, then it displays. And I just added that to basically just to facilitate screenshots, clean screenshots for logging, logging trades or just documenting setups or whatever. So that's the way it is by default. You can go in there and edit those however you want, obviously. Background opacity, that's going to be if there's a line underneath the text, what percentage visibility do you want? Right now it's set to 80, so you can barely see that little midline behind the text there. You can change that however you want. The lines are all working properly. These are the individual trend lines, which can also be doubled as just a simple arrow line. You could, you could add attached text to the end of it here, You could add slope to it. Ruler, risk to reward is good to go. Delete mode is working flawlessly now. Okay, the alerts. Anybody have any trouble with the alerts in NT8 at all? They should be good to go now, as well as the email system. So all you have to do check that box, put in your email, and when the alert is triggered, it will it'll send you a message. We haven't added in the screenshots yet, so that'll be one of the next things that we add in. When we add in the screenshot button, we'll add in the screenshots for the alerts, and then it can actually email you a screenshot of the chart at the time of the alert. And in NT8, funny, but we can actually take a screenshot of a chart that's minimized. Believe it or not. It's going to take a little work, but we'll be able to do that as well, even if it's on a different workspace. It's not really an NT8 thing, it's more of a Windows thing, but it's something we've been talking about doing for a while, and we're finally going to add that in at some point once we get all the other tools added. But you'll at least be able to take a screenshot of an active chart, and then you'll have an option to be able to flip to the workspace and then maximize the chart before it takes the screenshot. So if you have an alert on another workspace or a workspace layout, when we get that in there, you'll have a setting to be able to flip to that workspace or load that layout, maximize the chart, and then take the screenshot and then email it to you. Hearing myself say all this thing is actually pretty incredible, isn't it? Draggable objects. I have to finish this. A couple of these. What else? The ellipse. I guess that's about it, guys. And then the text. It opens the editor. You can type whatever you want in there. You can center it, left justify, right justify. As long as you have this dialog checked, it'll open up that dialog when you click the chart, and then you can edit it here after you reselect it. But if you're drawing it after the click of the button, you click the chart, it opens up this little editor. And you see it snapped it to my cursor before it would open up on your main screen. So it still opens up there, but it snaps to my cursor immediately. You see that? And then you don't have any of those pesky little, "Are you sure you want to close this window?" pop-ups. Let me show you that. Some of you guys probably don't know about this. How many of you have actually deleted charts from your workspace and really wish that you wouldn't have done that, and then accidentally save the workspace with the chart deleted, and then you got to go back and reinstall the installer or copy an old workspace or whatever? Well, NT8 has, because it's really easy to delete a chart. In NT8 they finally added something to mitigate that, and it's this. So tools, options, confirm on window or tab close. If that's checked, it'll throw, I don't know why they don't check it by default, but you'll have to go in there and check it if you want to use it. By default it's not checked. So make sure you check that box, and then when you accidentally delete a window or hit that X button, it'll ask you, "Are you sure?" And then if you want to, you can click yes. We had a problem with that where the toolbar was, every time you'd open up the UI or change a setting or whatever, you'd have to click OK to that. And now we've found a way to override it. And by the way, this is the skin. You can change the color. See how mine is light? I like this light color, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layouts here. And we'll have the same initially. I think we'll just copy these, and you'll be able to select the different skins for the toolbar, change the color of the heading, change the color of the background of the what do we call that? The panel. So you'll be able to modify all of that, and then once we're out of beta, we'll have it to where it's fully customizable. You can just set whatever colors you want. That'll be kind of a final finishing touch type deal. I guess that's about it for now. It's a lot more than we had a month ago.